Welcome everybody. My name is Hillary Schaefer and I am the CEO of Multiplying Good. First, I just want to thank everybody for tuning into this important conversation exploring the role of service in the Black community. At Multiplying Good for nearly 50 years, we've believed strongly in the power of service to transform lives. Originally founded by Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis in 1972, our basic belief was that America and Americans are inherently good, and by the millions wake up every day to lean in to help each other, and that act of service to others is an incredible way to transform the life of the individual and in turn transform communities. For nearly 50 years, we've now done that through recognition and then also through working with young people to help them figure out what they themselves care about in the community, and then to fortress them with both the skills that they need, the caring adult support, and the exploration that they need to come together in diverse populations of young people to make the world a better place, to become empathetic leaders and change makers, to lean into their communities and to lean into each other. At Multiplying Good, we know that the act of serving others often offers solutions to many of the problems Americans face today. Service to others transforms lives. It connects us to one another. It creates stronger communities. But none of those solutions will have optimal impact unless we work together to elevate the voices and experiences that have, for too long, been silenced. This month, we're focusing on the Black Americans who have made our service programs better, stronger, and more impactful. Since our founding in 1972, we've been really intentional about the value and perspective of our Black partners and supporters and what they bring to our mission. Our board of selectors, the esteemed group responsible for choosing our National Jefferson Awards recipients, has included individuals such as Whoopi Goldberg, Ronnie Lott, Kobe Owens, Troy Vincent, the late great Hank Aaron, Cecily Tyson. We've recommitted ourselves to bringing more Black professionals to our board of governors, to our board of selectors, and to our local boards. And we've made great strides in not only hiring Black employees, but supporting their growth and advancement. And as you'll see today, we have a strong and thriving Black community in our programs and on our local boards. With that, it is my incredible pleasure to introduce one of my favorite people in the Multiplying Good community, who is also our moderator for this afternoon. Mr. Taj Tashambe is the Vice President of Government Affairs at the Oakland Athletics. In this role, Taj oversees political, business, and community engagement for the team's new ballpark effort in Oakland. Prior to the A's, Taj spent 15 years as a marketing executive for the likes of Toyota, Hilton Hotels, and Hyundai, and led strategic media and experiential partnerships with major networks and studios. Taj began his career gaining valuable political and community engagement experience as a special assistant to the office of Congresswoman Barbara Lee. An Oakland native who once worked as an Oakland A's intern, Taj holds a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing from Clark Atlanta University, which is a historically Black college and university in Georgia. Taj is also a member of the Bay Area Multiplying Good Board. Please, with incredible enthusiasm, welcome Mr. Taj Tashambe.
Wow. Thank you, Hillary, for that amazing introduction. And hello, Multiplying Good family. It's so good to see all of you today. And I just want to make a quick acknowledgement to all of us who are impacted by this COVID-19 pandemic. Our thoughts and prayers remain with you and your families. And we look forward to getting through this situation soon. And Hillary, thank you for your illustrious leadership over the years with Multiplying Good. We love you and appreciate you very much. So let's dive in. This is a very exciting program we have today to celebrate Black History Month with the Multiplying Good family. And I want to establish a few things. And first and foremost, why are we here today? We're here today because we want to essentially identify opportunities to discuss our community at large, and particularly the African American community and service within that community. For many years, the African American community, many decades, I should say, has been a catalyst for change and a catalyst for service through not only the civil rights movement, but through equality, through the transformational behaviors of our country. And this time is no different. We want to make sure that this opportunity does not leave us today. And those of you who are watching, we want you to be engaged, not just with the panelists, but if you have a comment or a question, please leave it in the chat today. We'd like to hear from you. And if we have time, we want to answer as many questions as possible from the audience. How do we get here today is a second thought. Throughout this month, Multiplying Good has been delighted to highlight specific Black History Month achievements from our students in action, media partners, and recognition from programs in a blog series called Exploring the Role of Service in the Black Community. Today, we are bringing those participants together for what I'm sure will be a powerful conversation on service in our community. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first panel for the day. The first person I'd like to introduce is no stranger to Multiplying Good. I'd like to introduce Mr. Jeff Harrison. Jeff is the president and CEO of Citizens Energy Group, located in Indianapolis, Indiana. Citizens is a longtime Multiplying Good partner. With a vision to serve its customers and communities with unparalleled excellence and integrity, Citizens supports the Multiplying Good community. And also, Jeff serves as a Multiplying Good Indiana Board of Directors, donating services and sponsoring the local media program. Jeff, good morning.
Hello, Taj. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thank you, sir. And next up, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Kimberly Holmes Iverson. Kimberly is a morning anchor at WBOC TV on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which also serves Delaware and Virginia. WBOC TV is a proud participant in the Multiplying Good Media Partner Program. Media partners use the power of recognition and legacy of the Jefferson Awards to celebrate grassroots unsung heroes in their said communities. In addition to being the face of WBOC TV and Jefferson Awards initiatives, Kimberly has been a mentor and volunteer with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and has even led a local Girl Scout troop. Kimberly, good morning. How are you today?
I am well. Honored to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our last panelist is also no stranger to Multiplying Good and Students in Action. Miss Angel Connell is representing students from Hampton County, South Carolina, and she is the student advisor for the Student in Action program at that school. And we'll be meeting some of her students later today in our second panel. Ms. Connell, how are you today? I think you may be muted.
Hi, guys. Thank you for the invite. I'm glad to be sharing this platform with you all.
Thank you for being here today. Well, first, I got to comment on Jeff's glasses. Jeff, I see you, man. Looking good, looking really good. Glasses are my thing. So I always acknowledge when I see another person with some nice eyewear. So let's get started. I'm so happy to see you guys today, and I want to jump right into this panel discussion. First of all, let's start with you, Kimberly. Tell us about your career and how you have elevated through giving back and being a part of several different causes and utilize service as an initiative to raise awareness within the Black community.
Well, I am a morning anchor at WBOC, which you've already said. I have worked at several stations across the country, but I think that all goes back to my upbringing. I was actually raised in Saudi Arabia. My dad's job transferred him there when I was 4. And I think I got used to explaining to family and friends what it was like to grow up in the Middle East. And so my love of storytelling was born there. But I think also that's where I discovered my love of giving back and helping others. Because after the Gulf War, my mom, sister, and I were evacuated for a year, but we returned. And at that point, we had a whole host of US troops who, of course, did not understand what it was like to live in Saudi Arabia. And during that first Thanksgiving and Christmas, when we were there, my mom invited all the troops she could find to our home for a home cooked Cajun Thanksgiving meal. And it was then that I learned in times of hardship and when you're uncomfortable, reaching out to someone else and providing just something simple can really mean the world to them. And we actually formed long friendships with a lot of these soldiers. And that was my first introduction to service. When we moved back to the States, I then became a mentor and tutored many students in my area, did the same thing in college, became a member of different service projects and whatnot. But I'll say my service to the community really changed a few years ago on a very personal level, where in 2016, I lost my first husband, Rashid, in a hit and run. And I thought I understood grief. I thought I understood being there for friends and family, but it was then that I realized I didn't. And so at that point, the only thing that really helped me was hearing from other people who understood what I was going through, who really truly walked in my shoes, and they listened to me. And I don't know where it came from, but I decided I also wanted to give back in my own way. And one of the things that I'm able to do, and one of the gifts that God has given me, is the gift of storytelling. So I learned to just share the story of grief, to reach out to others and to let them know they're not alone in all of those dark and uncomfortable feelings they're feeling. And so I host a number of brunches and dinners and different outings for widows and those in the grief community, as well as sending some love boxes to them. I am also a treatment level foster parent, and any service project in this area I can be a part of and encourage someone, I am there if I can be.
That's amazing. Well, Kimberly, my thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family. And, there are many people watching who have lost loved ones, this year and then the previous year, obviously with COVID-19, and under a normal, any event of circumstances that those can come into contact with an individual who's been impacted in any number of ways. So I appreciate you for sharing your testimony with us, because people really do need support, in all areas. So thank you for that.
Thank
And
you.
let's segue to Jeff, my man with the glasses. So Jeff, how have you, in your role as a business leader and CEO, been able to use, your platforms as well as your leadership capabilities to institutionalize giving back, especially as an African-American executive in corporate America?
I think in a number of ways, and thanks again, Taj, for the glasses. Right back at you, my friend. I think as a leader in the community, and again as a CEO, and then as even more an African American, a Black CEO, I think it is important for us to be seen, and so service to our community, really stems out of the love of people. From that foundation, really the desire and calling, then I think is really born to help others, and we see that a lot in many of our multiplying good champions and citizens is very happy to honor one of our individuals every year in that respect. And so as a leader, that just really looking for ways to contribute, give back. Currently serve on a number of boards in our community, as you might imagine, that are focused in a number of different areas that improve the quality of life for all in our community. The areas include nature, the environment, education, economic development, and health of our citizens, focused on sporting events to enhance our community, financial stability, and then really just in general the vitality of our community. And and at this time in our country's history, where the focus has really shifted on an acronym commonly used called JEDI, which is around justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Just very honored to serve on some organizations that highlight those areas. One is the Urban League here in Indianapolis, Indiana, which focuses on minorities and disadvantaged individuals and to achieve some social and economic equality. And then we also have the Center for Leadership Development. And that organization is also focused on helping and foster the advancement of minority youth in Central Indiana as future professional, business, and community leaders by providing, again, experiences that encourage personal development and educational attainment. I've been honored to actually serve in a broader capacity across a number of businesses here in Central Indiana in an effort called the Business Equity for India Initiative, which is really the culmination of and a collection of aligned Central Indiana companies dedicated to working together to identify, develop, implement programs across the city aimed at increasing the fair and equitable participation in our economy by all citizens, especially though Black African American members in our community and people of color. And so really to your point, then look to leverage this position to do what we can to again help those that are in need, and then pay it forward as I'm sure all of us on this panel have been helped by those before us. We are obligated to do the same to help those that are coming up behind us. So,
absolutely, and thank you for that thorough analysis. And one other aspect to this that I want to throw back at you, Jeff, before we transition to Angel, is internships. And thinking about students in action, most of our kids in Multiplying Good, they're looking for opportunities as they matriculate through high school and into college. Does Citizens offer, and then I'm putting you on the spot because people do this to me all the time.
Sure.
Does Citizens offer an internship program, or how can people get more involved, especially our young people watching today, with your organization or affiliated organizations that you may be a part of to further their chances of opportunities and enrichment in their educational pursuits?
Sure, and appreciate the opportunity. There are a number of opportunities. We do have internships at the high school level, and in fact, just recently had a dialogue with one of the local high schools here around a potential internship for high school students. Again, these particular high school students are underprivileged, low income members of our community, and still looking for a way, though, to provide them with some general business experience, even at that younger age. If we're just able to introduce them to an office environment and have them see that and experience that, we believe there's growth that comes from that. And so obviously this year, everything's been virtual. And so we're trying to understand how and if we can make that experience for them virtual this year. If not this year, then potentially next year. At the next level, we're looking and working with college students in a program a formal program that we call our Partnership in Excellence in Research and Learning. And so we partner with Purdue, IU, Rose-Hulman, Trine, Ball State, a number of colleges in the state of Indiana. And we're working there to bring college students in and utilize their intellect to help us solve real world problems. And again, providing them with that business experience that again, I can tell you, the CEO, we want critically thinking individuals from a number of different disciplines. As long as they've got those critical thinking skills, that's what we're after. We'd like them to have some business experience. And so we're also then trying to imbue in them some business experience as well, to try to help them grow, again, matriculate, and then help them succeed upon graduation. Of course, we would love for them to come and work at Citizens as well. But those are two programs, Taj, that I can tell you that we're working on right now again, with an effort to try to improve the number of minorities in participation in our program here at Citizens Energy Group.
Excellent, Jeff, and we appreciate your leadership. Now, Angel, I've had you waiting, and I'm saving you because you are in the classroom working with our beloved students. And I know it's a challenging time working in this environment and educating our youth. So, Angel, if you don't mind, give us a day in the life. What's it like right now for you working in South Carolina with our students in action? And how can we best support our young people right now through this COVID-19 pandemic, especially our young Black boys and girls and young adults who are trying to find their way through this particular period and advancing themselves and getting ready for college and things of that nature? Give us a little glimpse into your world, Angel, if you don't mind.
Oh, well, right now we are in the middle of hybrid and virtual, and for 2 periods or 2 blocks, I teach both. So I think the challenge comes when you have hands-on things that the students need to do and you can't get to the students, or it's kind of impossible to make it work for both hybrid and the virtual students. But for me, it's an enjoyment because it's a challenge. And so I love challenges. And so some of the things that I've been incorporating and trying to push is our students learning more about financial stability, working with their hands in our garden, and also just trying to find the human in everyone, loving on each other more and kind of being more supportive of each other. It's not as easy as it looks, but I think, and for all educators, they've made a push to try to make things look good or look, easy, more easy than it normally would work. Would look if you were in the situation.
Absolutely. And as a follow-up question to that, tell us a little bit about our students that we will be talking to later today, Mava and Janaya. What can you tell us about those 2 young ladies? And we look forward to hearing from them directly later in the program. But tell us about them and your experience working with them.
Well, Destiny and Janaya,
I'm sorry.
Destiny is of course, she's a 10th grader here at our school. She's very motivated. She doesn't, I've never heard her say no. Anything I ask her to do, she's always in it. She has very supportive parents. So that's one of the big things, having supportive parents. And Janaya is an upcoming 9th grader. She's an awesome kid. I'm not saying that because she's mine, but she's decided to take a course with her parent and look at herself just like she's another student. She's put in a lot of work before she even became a student. So that's a good thing. But they're great kids. They're really motivated and they have a push to do something good in their community. So I'm always willing to work with students like that.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. And just one more question for you. I want to segue quickly to the digital divide and understanding the challenges that especially Black and brown children have with access to internet, access to laptops, tablets, things of that nature. Can you tell us a little bit about your school and maybe your school district and community as it relates to preparing and providing the kids with the resources, needed during this time period in order to stay ready in the classroom environment and virtually?
Well, we all know technology is the move now. If you don't have the right service, you don't have the right provider, you're kind of stuck in the dark. We're in a rural area, but I must say that my district has been amazing in trying to provide each of our students with working devices, also with internet. So one of the biggest things I think that we've accomplished is to provide all of our students with devices. There are some students who live in the rural areas, backwoods, as we would say, that do not get any service, but the lengths that our district has gone through in order to provide that has been awesome. So that's a great thing.
Well, that's good to hear, because you don't have to be in the backwoods to have a digital divide. Us city folks have the same issues. Many of these kids here in the Bay Area also are impacted, that are right here in the urban core and don't have that technology. So any of you technology providers who are watching today, we need you. We need your support and look forward to working with you with Multiplying Good. Now, Kimberly, I've had you waiting for a moment. I want to go back to you. Thinking about your platform as a news anchor and a prominent figure in your community, what can you tell us as it relates to looking through COVID-19 and into the future? How would you like to use your platform to advance the opportunity of more awareness and generating support for the Black community?
Well, I don't need to go into detail with how difficult this last year has been for all of us. But I will say one thing that I learned last year is that it's hard to know how difficult times will impact you until you're going through them. And I've obviously told difficult stories. It's my job to go to someone's house in their worst moments. I've had it happen to myself. But when COVID broke out, so to speak, and we were all trying to figure out what this meant in real time while also sharing that information, it was really difficult. And as soon as we understood what it meant and who was, in most danger, I became the pretty much solo anchor for the morning show, which is the longest block of news we have. And so in the midst of sharing this really difficult information, I was having a lot of issues with just trying to keep my head above water and my mental sanity intact. And, it's no one else's job to think about journalists and what we have going on, but we also have families and we also lose people. And so behind the scenes also went through a lot of very difficult situations. And then once you start to get a handle, what you think is a handle on what's happening with COVID and our communities who are affected and what we need to do to help, and being here on Delmarva in this small town where we have, Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware communities, we also had some hotspots when it came to some of the plants and all of that. So there was a lot of concern and a lot of fear. And then you had everything going on this summer with racial unrest and, all of the protests we saw, and a lot of conversations started happening. And that is where I think my job really comes in, as providing a positive. But in the midst of that, it was also really difficult to be the one with, especially social media. And I think people just vomit information without thinking about what they're saying. And again, being a journalist and being on this side of the camera, it is our job to take it, to filter out what's facts from fiction, and to share the facts with people. But when people say nasty things constantly while you're also going through a really difficult time, it weighs on you. And so I know myself and a lot of my colleagues had to take time outs. We would report the news during our shifts and have to step back and then come back and tackle it when we could. One positive thing I learned, though, is a number of my friends would check on me, and especially a number of my friends who are white, who I grew up with. And we had some really interesting conversations. And I'm talking about people who have known me since I was 4, who have been in my life and, obviously known I'm a Black woman, but didn't see me as that. But this summer forced them to see me as that and to understand what it really meant to grow up as a Black person, whether it was overseas or also in America, and the challenges I faced. And so honestly, those conversations gave me the strength to keep going and to figure out, how do I encourage more people to do this? And, service, and I think a lot of things in life, it sometimes seems overwhelming. What can I do? One person, I'm just trying to figure out how to keep my family afloat, how to keep the bills paid, how to keep a smile on my face and my hair, combed. How do I fix the world's problems? But I think we have to remember, you just start where you are, look at your talents and what you can easily do. And of course, working at a station and being able to have that medium, we started to have these conversations in the newsroom, and a lot of us were affected in various ways. And so we pushed to be able to dig deeper into some of these stories. And I'm really happy to say that this summer, my station launched a series that focused on issues of diversity. And I told the first piece. It was not received well, and we had a lot of very nasty comments, unfortunately. But I think it also revealed that this is something we need to talk about. In the midst of COVID, in the midst of all this heartache and pain, we have to really dig deep and get to the heart of these issues. And after that first story, we started to peel back some of the layers, start to really get to the crux of the issues. And we received fewer and fewer negative comments. Maybe fewer people were watching, but I'm going to think that more people were starting to understand things. And I think when it comes to these difficult situations and when it comes to things that make us uncomfortable, we have to start with a conversation. And that's where the media can play a positive role. And I think, we don't always get it right. Often we get it wrong. A lot of people don't trust us. But for the most part, I can say on a personal level, and from a lot of the people whom I went to school with and who are working their booties off, telling really important stories right now, we're trying. We're trying to get all of these different stories out there. We're trying to facilitate difficult conversations and to connect people in a way so that we can help one another, because we are all in this world together, whether we understand the person next to us or not. And I think we just have to start by talking to one another and listening, not just talking, but listening.
Amen. You said that marvelously, Kimberly, and thank you. And your testimony again is something that I feel needs to be shared with more people, and especially during this climate. And if we don't mind, can we bring Jeff back? I want to give Jeff an opportunity to have a final thought on his work in the community, as well as this subject of really activating service within the Black community specifically. And, Jeff, Kimberly brought up some really strong points. I wish we had more time to dive in, because I think this group can change the world. Just the three of you panelists have said it all. Really thinking about the social climate, Jeff, you're in the heartland of America. And, we've seen a lot of things happen over the last several months. We don't have to dive into every detail, but what I'm talking about. You as an African-American leader in the community, as well as in the corporate world, what advice would you have for your colleagues and your peers within this space and on this particular conversation today, in terms of how to establish the best methodology of paying it forward during this climate, and using our platforms and our leadership capabilities to do so?
Well, thanks again, Taj, and we'll just comment briefly. But I think just going back, and we don't need to go into detail, but just all the activity, the unrest took place around the company. There was a lot of anger and lost hope in the Black community that spurred a lot of action. And racial injustice didn't appear overnight, and obviously, unfortunately, it certainly won't disappear overnight. But encouraging signs emerged, though, when people of all races really came together to share in their compassion around the issue, to stand in solidarity around the issue, and hearing many individuals, some national, I've heard coaches, business leaders, just a smattering of people from around, and again, teachers, just everyone, just coming out and saying that they could no longer be silent on the issue, really provides a lot of hope. And I'm not talking about hashtags. It's rather a genuine commitment and call to action, and a call for change. And I think we're really seeing that now, and it's something that we're taking advantage of here in Indianapolis. I think if I were to say anything to other community leaders out there who are hearing this broadcast and listening during this time, it's to again just remember, we're all on the spectrum somewhere, and no matter where you are, the idea is to improve from our current position. Wherever you are, continue to improve. And I'll add that one of the ways to do that is to synergize with others. And so, Taj, I talked earlier about the business equity for Indy. We're talking over 200 businesses here in Central Indiana, and we're trying to figure out if Citizens has this Pearl program, this partnership and excellence in research for learning. What if we shared that with 20 other businesses? And then we also shared with them how to stand up a similar program in their businesses. And then they were able to grow and partner with universities across Indiana and maybe even other states and bring in and help train and help educate and help grow and help provide managerial and leadership experience to minorities. How much more powerful will that be than just Citizens providing, again, a very great program? It's an amazing program, but we're beginning to envelop and tap into the power of the synergistic effect in bringing in other business leaders. So again, my comments, and I'll close, would just be around, if you're a leader out there, you want to get involved, you don't know how to get started, Jay Harrison at citizensenergygroup.com. Give me an email. Would love to chat with you about what we're doing here in Indianapolis. If you're in Indianapolis, same email. Would love to talk and chat with you about how to get involved. But I think this movement is one that's not going to stop. This movement is one that is going to be sustainable. And again, it might not be a year, it might not be two, but I believe we'll create some sustainable change, some sustainable improvements in our community, and I think in communities across the country. Again, based on the efforts that have taken place and some of the tragedies that have taken place within the last year.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to email you too, since you put it out there. So thank you, my friend, for your time today. And let's close out this panel with Angel. Angel, I'd like to get a final thought from you as it relates to your efforts in the community as a educator. And, what words of wisdom and hope can you give fellow educators as well as students during this particular time in our Black community?
Well, if I had a thought, it would be excuses are monuments to nothing and bridges to nowhere. If you want to see the change, you have to be a part of the change. You have to make sure that you're in there giving your opinion and also giving your hand and helping.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Miss Angel. We appreciate you and celebrate you for your laborious work with our students during this time. And to all of your fellow educators out there, we appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. It was a pleasure to meet you. So let's move on to our next panel. I know we have some students waiting to get on board, and I'd like to introduce them right now. Are you guys with me still? Are you having a good time? Please continue to chat. We see your notes coming up on the screen, and we love the engagement today, so keep it up. So panel number 2, I'd like to introduce Miss Janiyah Connell, Destiny Jenkins, Melissa Millian, and Mava Kembo. Ladies, good afternoon. How are you today? Can you guys hear me? Are you on mute?
Fine. Doing great.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good, good. Well, I've got some questions that I want to ask you guys, and I'll start with Janiyah because you're first on my screen. So, Janiyah, how do you think service can be a solution to addressing the many challenges in our Black community? So, through service, how can we address some of the challenges that we have?
I feel as though first we should define the issue that our community faces. Service allows us to focus on solutions to problems.
And let's go to Destiny. Can you answer the same question? How can service be a solution to addressing challenges facing the Black community?
I feel like service, because it brings us together and it makes us closer. And not only that, but the community. It seems like now that the pandemic has taken over, it's made everybody closer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not going to ask you guys all the same question because that's too easy. I want to make sure I get everybody's different opinion on different subjects. So let's go to Mava. How do you think social media plays a role in developing service opportunities? So like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, how do you think we can use those tools and others to make an impact through service?
So I feel like social media does play a huge role in spreading services just because there's so many different people that can see our projects if we spread them on social outlets. And as service leaders, we can use these platforms like Instagram and TikTok to share our projects and gather others who may be interested in our services, especially during COVID, because a lot of people are on social media. So it's great exposure for every kind of service. And since many service leaders tend to branch out into various platforms, which is something that our team is currently working on, they are able to gain that support and spread more awareness. And you can also be, us ourselves can also be educated and learn more through social media. So yes, it does play a huge role in service, like overall.
And that's awesome. And Melissa, how about you? How do you feel that we can use social media and our platforms, to reach other millennials, other people like you, to give back and feel like they're making a contribution or are motivated to make a contribution, to society through community service?
Well, I feel like social media is an important platform because, everything you post stays on social media. And like, when you are posting your service work on social media, there are so many other people that can see it, like rather than like, talking about it. When you post it on social media, so many more people can see it, and it can, inspire them to want to do things like that. And when there are people, with social media, we can always keep people up to date with our service projects that we're doing, um and like what like not only our service projects, but like what we're doing in general and what our plans are, things like that.
Got it. Got it. I appreciate that answer. And you're right. I mean, social media is evergreen, right? And then even if you do delete it and try and take it down, somebody's going to take a screenshot of what you put up and it'll be around forever, like you said. So I do think we all have to be really responsible, as we use these platforms and make sure we're using them for the right purposes. Let's go back to Janaya. I have a question for you, and you may not be prepared for this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because I think it's a good question. Is HBCUs, what do you think the role HBCUs, historically Black colleges, universities, play in the opportunities now for young Black men and women like yourselves? Are you guys considering HBCUs? So Janaya, for you, are you considering college experiences that you want to have in the future? And are you considering maybe an HBCU, or what, if anything, has impacted you from what you've seen over the last maybe year because of the support many of our historically Black colleges and universities have seen through social justice reform and awareness? College experiences that you want to have in the future, and are you considering?
You were cutting in and out during the question.
Okay, I was saying, what are your thoughts on HBCUs? Okay, we might be having some technical difficulties. Let's see, Destiny, can you hear me? Okay. Can anybody hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, Mava, let's go to you. Do you have a perspective on HBCUs?
Yeah,
And would you consider one?
I was like looking into HBCUs because it's a great way, especially personally for me. I was raised in like usually an all-white community. It was like I didn't really have any connections to the Black community until I got into high school.
I feel like the things that they do have, like the opportunities that they do have at the schools, I feel that they prepare the students and they have a great impact on their life.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you can hear me now. Sorry, we may have a little delay. You know, this is like, I'm gonna call it BNN, like not CNN, but BNN. We created a whole new network today. So I appreciate you, Janiyah, for stepping in. So Mava, let's finish your comment, if you don't mind, on HBCUs.
Yeah, so I was looking into them because I feel like HBCUs also for like social purposes, it really is able to like you're able to connect with other Black Americans, and it's just a great way to like branch out. And if you have been raised in like a majority white community like I was, I do want to branch out and I do want to make connections with like African Americans and Africans that I haven't gotten the chance to yet. And that's a great way to like spread out and connect with the community more.
Absolutely. And Melissa, I'm going to ask you the same question. I went to an HBCU as well. I'm going to shout out Clark Atlanta University. So if anybody's interested in going to Clark in Atlanta, it's a great HBCU. And maybe similar to you, I grew up in a predominantly white environment, you know, for high school. And so I was really motivated to go to an HBCU, and it kind of shaped my experience as I matriculated. So Melissa, let me ask you, excuse me, what are your thoughts on college and preparing yourself for school in the future? Are you considering an HBCU or other institutions?
Well, I am currently a senior, so I I am preparing for college, and yes, I have thought about HBCUs, but it wasn't like, like um I'm going to be completely honest, like when I was thinking about going to school and stuff, like picking my top colleges, it wasn't like I wasn't choosing them based on like HBCUs and stuff like that. I was choosing them on like based on what I wanted to study. And HBCUs, I've actually applied for an HBCU college. And the reason I did do that was because, just like Mava, because we live in the same town, I do live in a predominantly white town. And I feel like because there are so few Black people where we live, it would be an amazing experience seeing more people that look like me and making more connections, like Mava said. But like, um, I what am I saying? But I am thinking about like going to an HBCU.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm sure that any institution both of you choose will be the best institution for you, regardless if it's an HBCU or not. I feel like the opportunities that are in front of you guys are endless, and you're wonderful examples of Black excellence. And we celebrate you and want to be here for you. And, we had an earlier panelist, Jeff, mention that his company has internships and opportunities for young people. Are both of you working in any capacities where you're volunteering your time, or you have jobs or internships that you'd like to share experiences with everyone watching today? What are you doing extracurricularly as a student in action? And let's start with Mava.
I recently just started volunteering at like food banks and just like helping out in the community like nearby. And I also I'm thinking of getting more involved in that, maybe going like monthly because I do want to get more into service work as I do get older. So yeah, I feel like going from like food drives and like food banks and working my way up is where I'm going to start because I am a sophomore. So yeah, I'm just working on that throughout my high school career.
Well, that's fantastic. Do any of you play sports by show of hands? Does anybody play sports? Yes. Okay, Janaya, what sport do you play?
I play volleyball and I'm starting tennis in May.
That's fantastic. When I was in high school, I played basketball primarily. And, as a student athlete, it's really hard sometimes to, be everything, right? You got to work on your schoolwork. You have to do well on the court or field, as well as be a good teammate and, a great listener and partner and student. So how have you guys managed all of the things you're doing, especially in this climate? A lot of us are obviously working and learning from home. How has this COVID-19 pandemic affected your experiences in high school as you prepare for college? Give us some feedback, and let's start with Destiny. Destiny, you're back. If you heard my question, how has COVID-19 impacted you as a student, and what advice would you have for other students like yourself going through this time period?
Huh?
I hear you, but we may still have a little bit of a connection issue. So we'll come
Oh,
right back to you. We'll come right back to
it's
you.
showing on my computer.
Yeah, we'll come right back to you, Destiny. Melissa, if you heard my question around how have you been able to cope through COVID-19 and be successful as a student this year and last year, and what advice would you have for your fellow students going through the same thing?
Okay, so
COVID-19, how have you gotten through it as a student?
One way I've been able to cope is with a lot of reading, going for long walks. It helps with my mood and things like that. And sometimes I write poetry. But I feel like something that's been able to like truly get me by is like knowing that this is going to COVID-19 is going to come to pass, and like one way or another we are going to continue with our service project, and I'm really excited about it. I feel like to me it is the biggest project we've worked on. So this service project we did work on is that we bought diverse children's books for our local elementary school, and I've been really excited to get started on that.
That's fantastic. And Janaya, what about you? How have you managed as a student athlete, through COVID-19, and what advice would you have for people watching?
I've actually found new hobbies to. I've actually never played tennis before, so I feel like me starting this is giving me something to look forward to, and doing different things in the community. It's really kept me positive and kept me going, and staying focused on my work also.
That's good. That's really good. And Mava, I'm going to ask you the same question, but with a twist. So we all need to get out and socialize, and there's been so many restrictions throughout the country on what we can do to remain social and safe. How have you and your friends been able to remain positive and have a social life, but obviously maintaining a safetyness around that particular aspect? And what advice would you have to fellow young people around COVID-19 and maintaining some type of a social life, but doing it in obviously a responsible way. What have you done?
So, regarding like COVID, it's been very hard because of like the safety measures. So I just want like some advice that there's always a way. I even talk to my friends on FaceTime sometimes, and if you like watching movies with your friends, like the movie theaters, if you can't go to the movie theaters, there's different platforms like Netflix Party. I always find a way to watch movies with my friends then because I can't like see them face to face because of safety measures. So when I do go out to work, I do see them sometimes, but most of the time there's always a way due to technology and like different apps you can use to like talk to them and keep in touch that way. And even texting helps. Like any social media platform goes a long way with Corona and keeping up like with social reasons.
Well, thank you for that. You guys are so impressive. I can't wait to follow your journeys as you matriculate through school and you graduate this year, Melissa. And you guys are going to be rock stars in the future. I can tell. I can see it. I see your success. And I want to bring all of our panelists back, if we could, home base, and allow everyone to say a quick remark. And we're going to wrap this baby up and let you have the remainder of your days. So let's go back to our adult panel. And if there are any final thoughts or acknowledgments with Kimberly, let's start with you. If 30 seconds or less, if you have a final thought or acknowledgement, the floor is yours.
Two things I like: a deadline and tell me how much time I have. So I just want to say I appreciate this conversation. I loved hearing from the young people, loved hearing from Jeff and everything that everybody has said today. And from my point of view, I just hope we keep chatting, keep listening, keep talking, keep having the conversation.
Absolutely. Mava, final thought from you, 30 seconds or less. You're on mute. We got to unmute, I think. No? Okay, you can't unmute? Okay. Janaya, you want to give it a try? There you go.
I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate the opportunity.
You are so welcome. All right, Destiny's back. Destiny, final thought. I know we didn't get to talk to you that much, so we can get a little bit more in 30 seconds if you'd like, my love.
Oh, sorry for the technical difficulties, but it was a pleasure having the opportunity to be with all you guys and talk about the Black History Month and everything. I enjoyed the opportunity. So thank you very much.
You are so welcome. And Melissa, final thoughts.
Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I mean, this was an amazing opportunity, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, even though I was really anxious, like all last night and up until like a few seconds before we did this. But I would gladly do it again.
Thank you. And you guys are great. You guys are supposed to be the tech experts, you young people. I'm the one that's supposed to have all the problems. Mava, you're back. Your turn, 30 seconds or less. Final thoughts.
Same with Melissa. I was really anxious coming into this, but as I started talking, I got more comfortable. And thank you for inviting me, and I would love to do this again.
Absolutely. Well, next time you're going to host, okay? We're going to get Kimberly to give you some coaching on hosting and anchoring. And I'm going to be like Jeff and just kick back. So Jeff, let's give you the final thought and last word of encouragement for our panel.
Well, thank you again, Taj, and for your time, energy, and effort today. Thank you to Multiplying Good, again, for the incredible effort that you're having on our community today and even before today. It's an amazing organization. I also want to thank our panelists and then the virtual audience for spending your time with us today. Just as a final thought, again, this is it. We're doing it. Keep having the conversation. I love seeing our young people here here to help in any way that I can. And again, these conversations are so important, so very important. But I'd say take it further, turn those conversations into actions, and let's make sure those actions are sustainable, positive changes for our future. So I'll close with that, Taj. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak.
Excellent, Jeff. And I can't thank you enough for your leadership. Continue to do great things, sir. And you are a trailblazer and a remarkable role model, as well as the rest of you ladies. I'm so proud of all of you. And thank you, Kimberly, for your leadership as well. And Miss Angel, we thank you as well. And I want to say again to Hillary, our wonderful CEO, thank you for this opportunity and for expanding the Multiplying Good platform during Black History Month. And thank you to Jack Russey. I can't thank you enough, sir, our chairman of the board, as well as our local leader here in the Bay Area, Artavia. Thank you for this opportunity. Without further ado, I wish you all well, and please remain safe and healthy. We look forward to seeing you soon at future Multiplying Good events. My name is Taj Tashambe, and I'm signing off. Thank you so much. Take care.